we are going to be educated tonight about what's upcoming. And that's the curbside composting, the residential containerization, and for those businesses that are not complying, fines. Now, fines can be good, you know, like my family and people like that, but the fines can be difficult, people. So I'm very happy to introduce our guest from Department of Sanitation, Bureau of
Community Affairs.
Community Affairs. Okay, Marissa Yanni, who's been kind enough with an own load of responsibility around this issue to be here for us tonight, and with some very interesting things in front of her. And welcome on behalf of the committee.
Great. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Just gonna talk about a few things with you all. We're gonna go through it one by one, and that way we can discuss it. I can answer all your questions, and we'll move on to the next. So we could start with composting. I do have some flyers for everyone. I don't know if you want to pass them. Sorry, around. And I do have the compost stickers, which are really helpful as well, which you can use for your bins. And I'll pass that around to everybody as well. So starting October 6th, curbside compost collection is coming to Manhattan, the Bronx, and Staten Island. I think some of you know that service already exists in Queens and Brooklyn. So compost can go out the same day as your recycling. So that's not changing. I know there were a few addresses that had that service already here in CB7, but whatever their day was, that's changing. It's going to be on their recycling day. So on recycling day, you're putting out trash, metal, glass, and plastic, your paper, and you're going to put out compost. So we will have a grace period of a couple of months before we really start enforcement for curbside composting. First, yard waste is going to be the most mandatory. That's going to start in January, the fines for that, when there really won't be that much yard waste in January, but that's when we'll start giving you a fine. And then in spring 2025, that's when food waste will be enforced. We will have to see the separate waste stream for food waste. As you can see on the little decal that I gave you all, you could see what can be composted. It is coming around. And I'm happy to bring up more to the office if that's better for people to get them. You also can order it for free on our website, but I can't say how quickly that's going to come. Probably easier for me to hop on the train and bring it up here to you all. So please let me know. Max, if you think I need to bring up more, but totally fine. So there's a few ways that you could put out your compost material. So I think it's safe to assume a lot of you live in buildings, like apartment buildings. Okay, but I'll say this anyway.
Is there anyone who doesn't live in an apartment building? That's the west side.
That's fair. Yes, that's fair. So some of this may not apply, but for your yard waste, let's say you do have some leaves or there was some flowers, whatever you have, that can go in your compost bin, or that can go in a clear plastic bag curbside. So yard waste doesn't need to go in the bin, or it can even go in one of those leaf bags for Lowe's. That really is something that happens a lot more in the outer boroughs. I think Manhattan, you're not getting as much leaves or as much branches as you do in the outer boroughs. But that's just to keep that in mind. Your food scraps have to go in a bin. I do not care what kind of bin, really, as long as it's not bigger than 55 gallons and as long as it's clearly labeled, you just got to put it in a bin and a bag in the bin. A lot of people wonder how they can do composting because every single day you're going to eat something. You could put it in little bags and then put that inside the bin itself. That's totally fine. Of course, this would be up to your building management, because a lot of folks here live in buildings with more than, let's say, 9 units, I'm assuming as well, kind of big buildings. That is up to them. If you see that your building is not participating and you're trying to participate, do let us know. We do have trainings for building management regarding compost. And we want to make sure that everybody is compliant and that everyone has access to it, because that is your right. You have this curbside compost. You don't need to bring it to a smart compost bin. You don't need to bring it to a green market or anything like that. I think that's all I want to say on compost. Is there any questions? Then yes, then we can discuss and chat. Yes.
So can you just talk through when we should, so just for context, I live in a apartment building that has more than 9 units, which I think is the cutoff. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. Everybody can do compost.
No, but I mean, like, sorry, I didn't frame that correctly. Where the responsibility is on the building management.
Oh, right. Yes, I would say, right. If it's I'm assuming larger than 9 units, it's not gonna be up to you anymore, it's up to the building manager. Yeah, that's fair, I don't know how many units, yeah, but let you do that
And-
otherwise.
They should start participating in this on October 6th.
They should, yes, I would love that, yes. Yes,
Excuse me, I just spoke to my superintendent. That's 40 units. He looked at me in shock when I mentioned this is about to happen, and when I said in about a week and a half, I didn't have the date. So I then printed out the notice of this meeting with the summary that I think Shelley had written, and I gave it to him. And I said, so you have to do this. But he just quickly said, okay, Ethel, you'll tell me about it. Now, I mean, he's a good, intelligent, excellent super, but I am rather concerned as to the dissemination of this information, and especially after the summer, when many people are either away or looking at other things. So I don't want to generalize from one building, but I'm urging, do your buildings all know and know how to set it out and what the date is?
No, we haven't heard
No.
anything.
We've been composting for about 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you. I mean, okay.
Is it a large building, Madge?
About 60 units.
So I don't understand the mechanics. Do each of us have a little metal container in our apartment?
Whatever kind of container you like.
I'm sorry?
What I do is I put it in my fridge, so I save like the big yogurt containers, put them in there. And then I dump those in the composter or put them, I take extra bags from Trader Joe's, those green bags, you can use those, right, those green bags.
I take them too, yeah,
You can put them in
I
bags.
take them from food.
Yeah.
But doesn't that defeat the whole idea that you're not supposed to use plastic?
Oh, these are
It's,
decomposable
it's the only
plastics.
way to keep it separate and clean, so that you're not just dumping like
Right.
meat into the bin. We actually have a thrasher that opens it up. So yes, we then will have little pieces of plastic, granted, but it's not gonna get into the compost. It spins it around, opens it up, and so that's how we break the bag.
Aren't those bags supposedly disposable, those green ones?
From Trader Joe's?
Yeah, the ones you were.
I cannot speak to if they're biodegradable or not.
I think they are.
I
That's
hope
what
that
they're
sounds like
promoting.
Trader Joe's to make them biodegradable, but I can't speak on their behalf. I don't know if I trust anybody that says that they
You
are,
can just
but
dump the whole container, the
Okay.
yogurt container or some other container. Just
Ken?
dump it.
Please.
I just have a question about terminology. My understanding is that nothing is being composted, actually. It's being sent to a biogas facility, at least 2 of them. I think one's in Queens, maybe they're both in Queens. And they're turned into, the food scraps are turned into biogas, which is used as an energy source. And I think about 5% is actually not able to be turned into biogas and is sent to a landfill. And I think there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's still some off-gassing of the methane called flaring. And so a certain percentage is actually going into the atmosphere. There is no composting. So this is really just in the interest of truth in advertising. Your food scraps are not going to, some place where they're going to get turned into soil and get recycled into the earth that way. It's turning into methane. The methane's being used as an energy source, and most of it is not leaking into the atmosphere, but some of it is. And also these plants, the biogas plants have to run on energy themselves, so they are a source of pollution also. So I just wanted to point that out.
so I appreciate that, but no, that is incorrect.
It is?
We do have actual material, your organic material that does go to our Fresh Kills facility, that does make compost that we give back to schools, parks, and we also give it back to the community at our give back events.
So what percentage of what we're talking about?
It's not gonna be 100%, you're right, some of it, can you give me 1 second? Cause I actually have it in the back of this, talking point. Compost collected in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx and parts of Queens is anaerobically, I hate that word, digested, thank you, at the Newtown Creek Water Waste Treatment Plant. The digestion is the process of converting food scraps and yard waste into renewable energy. Some of the material is compost collected in Staten Island is processed at our Staten Island compost facility. So at the moment, that is the game plan, that Staten Island organic material will go to the compost facility in Staten Island to turn it into compost, and that's what we do for have for our give backs. At the moment, all of Brooklyn and Queens is going to the Staten Island facility. This could always change, but this is the game plan at the moment.
Queens is going to Staten Island rather than Queens?
At the moment it is, yeah, because we did a bunch of give backs and we're still doing give backs at this time for everything that's collected in Brooklyn and Queens from our Staten Island facility.
What is a give back?
Oh, we give you compost. Sorry, like I'll give you a bag of compost.
If you
In
want
case
Okay,
you want it,
so-
a lot of people do
so-
want it because it's free.
So for people who may not understand, what is good about compost?
It just helps enrich the soil. It's good for planting. A lot of community gardens take it. Schools, if they have like little planters, it's not really for the custodial staff, really, I think like for classes to use it. We also do give backs. We do that a lot. We give people 50-pound bags of compost, or we do 1-pound bags as well. I'll be giving those out next weekend in Brooklyn, actually. A lot of people do want them, especially if they don't have a huge yard, which I think is prevalent here in Manhattan. If you don't have a huge yard, you have a little space, it's better than buying compost, like buying soil at Lowe's.
So,
Okay.
so where, just to follow up, the Manhattan, food scraps collected in yard waste, where does that end up?
From what I'm being told, it's gonna go to the Newtown Creek Wastewater Treatment Center.
So in effect, nothing's being composted.
No, the Staten Island material
I
will be,
know, but nothing from Manhattan.
from what I'm being told right now, no, okay.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay,
Yeah,
Louisa, welcome back from London. So good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. Please.
Thanks. I just want to ask, like Ethel, my building seems to be having some kind of communication problem. They don't know anything about it. Are you distributing any information, any notices that could be put up to tell people about this? Because
Yes.
the first thing you had to do is start with people composting again, because we who were doing it then found out that the super was just putting the compost bags in with the regular garbage. So a lot of people stopped. And nobody seems to know, including the super, that this is starting again. And we had to spread information. People had to know about this.
Yeah, so we do have a separate team that's speaking to building management. We're also doing building management info sessions and trainings regarding compost. That's not what my team specifically is doing. We're talking to residents, but for large buildings and buildings management and supers, that's a different team that's reaching out to everybody.
And
So
where are they and how does Community Board 7 get hold of them and to tell them to disseminate and work in Community Board 7 to let as many people know, especially if the law says it's going to begin in a week and a half, and maybe 50%, I'm optimistic, might know, but many won't. And if I may suggest, it's good in its design in some ways, but it doesn't really tell you, unless people please correct me, if you see it better than I do, it gives some of the categories of what to compost, but we don't know where it's going, what's being done with it, if you do something, put it in a bag, then what? Why do all of this? I mean, and why? I think the information, but please correct me because my ignorance may be enormous. When I read napkins, towels, tea bags, that kind of thing, I really do think, can that be composted? And if so, how much of that should we do? I mean, I take paper napkins and I put them in a bag. There isn't enough information, and we could try with the help of maybe Community Board 7 and the elected officials here, why not make a campaign now in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks to say, okay, this is what's happening. I appreciate what you're doing, but where's the team to come out and tell us how and when?
So that was a few questions in one. I'll answer the first one. I'm happy to take down any addresses of any buildings that you feel don't have the information, or I will just speak to the team myself tomorrow when I get into the office and see how that process is going for the building, for the larger buildings, and how we're speaking with them. We also do have a canvassing team that's been going out to all 3 boroughs to talk about compost. That's something we did in Brooklyn and Queens, but my team we did Brooklyn and Queens, my team wasn't doing these 3 new boroughs. So I can tell you, I don't know how that process is going at the moment. I'll give you that. Number 3, yeah, everything on, do you mind if everything on here it goes in the compost bin. Basically, anything that grows out of the ground or anything you eat can go in the compost bin, including food soil paper. So if you wipe your mouth and hands a lot after eating a slice of pizza, that could go in the compost bin. That's totally fine. Tea bags, food, that the paper plates, thank you. That's totally fine. That can go in there. Everything on there can go in your compost bin because we will take everything. Unlike some green markets wouldn't take bones sometimes. They don't take cheese. We take everything. And I think you had a third question. Now I missed it.
Oh, can maybe with your colleagues or associates after this meeting, if we can make a quick contact, this committee, and work with them in the next 2 or 3 weeks at least to begin to do a dissemination. Let's say, we could find out quickly, let's say along Riverside Drive, West End Avenue, Riverside Drive, between 96th Street and 105th Street. Has anybody ever come? Do they know composting is happening in the next day? Is this, I'm just telling you, I not only spoke to the people in my building, I went to a couple of other buildings and said, do you know nearby? I mean, again, it may be particular ignorance, but I'm just wondering about the dissemination.
Great. I'll speak to the team and see exactly what they're doing.
Marissa, may I?
Of course.
Go,
Can I
please.
hop in? Actually, one thing that our office is gonna be doing is we're gonna be sending some of these notices out in our newsletter. And then I have a monthly meeting with all the block associations in the district. So at that meeting,
That's
I'll
good.
share with them as well
Excellent.
too. We'll do what we can to help.
Is it all
DSNY.
block associations?
Yeah, on the
At
Upper
one
West.
time?
Yeah, that's right. On the Upper West Side at least, not throughout the whole city.
No, I'm only talking about Community Board 7.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have a representative.
just-
That is a great
That's
venue
good.
for that. That's
I mean,
terrific.
it's great. So it's gonna get out. It's a lot.
Yeah,
of
we're happy to
burden.
help because I think it's such a large task that, you know,
Indeed.
we're
Sure.
happy to help
Okay.
how we can.
So we'll
Yeah.
turn to Elon.
Sure. I had a couple of questions. I don't know if you want me to ask them all at once or if you prefer to take them
How about
individually.
one at a time?
One at a time, please.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure what your preferred format was. So currently, I'm a building owner, less than 9 units, but gonna have to comply with all this stuff, and I want to make sure I do it right. Currently, compost picked up on different days from recycling for us to confirm that's going to be in sync throughout the city. So I no longer have to get up on Saturday mornings to put a compost bin out.
That is correct. Starting October 6th, it will be the same day as your recycling day. I don't know what
Okay.
day your recycling day is.
I appreciate that. It's nice to get the Sabbath off to actually not be taking out trash and dealing with DSNY. But if we don't do it, we get fined. So that's great.
Understood.
I also would encourage you. There's a bunch of communities in Brooklyn, which I realize are not CB7, but they're struggling with getting fined for putting things out too early on Saturdays and Fridays. And I would encourage you guys to find ways to work with those religious communities. But that's not related to us here. You mentioned that yard waste and food waste are going to start seeing enforcement at different dates. Can you clarify what that means? So, like, does that mean that if the same compost bin has yard waste and food waste in it, I'm in trouble and I get fined? And how much are those fines?
No, you wouldn't get in trouble for that. We would love that. That's totally fine. It's just starting in January, if I'm an enforcement agent and I walk by your home and I see that you have branches and leaves sticking out of a black garbage bag that you have curbside, you could get a fine for that.
Okay,
Because that's supposed to be compostable, that's supposed to be in the compost bin. Again,
Got it.
it's in January, so I don't know how much you're actually gonna have, but let's say that. In
Sure.
the spring, if
Yeah.
I walk by your home and I see in your garbage bin, or someone tells me that you're doing this, and I see food coming out, I see chicken bones, I see, red sauce, I see all that, you can get a fine for that because you have to separate your food scraps from your trash starting in spring 2025.
Understood. Okay. So, but within the compost bins, I don't need to separate between these different types of things.
No.
Okay. Got it.
No,
Just
you can
that.
put everything
Okay.
together. Yeah. Some
Okay.
people just don't have the space for that, so they separate the yard waste in the clear plastic bag.
Yeah.
Because
Understood.
it takes up less space.
So, today I can barely get tenants and random passersby to keep recycled, to keep aluminum cans out of my trash, let alone when the vagrants show up to steal all my cans and, for recycling purposes, because they need money, that's their income, and they unsort all my trash. Now I have to also worry about my tenants. So you're saying I have to educate my tenants to not put food scraps in the normal trash can. They need to start keeping them separately. But to be clear,
Correct.
when they do the wrong thing, I need to personally unbag their trash and inspect what's in the bags, and then and unsanitarily get that into the right bags. Or I get fined. They won't get fined. I'll get fined, correct?
Because you're the property owner?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So just to be clear, what I'm going to be doing every week now from now on is opening up the trash bag, searching for chicken bones, and personally unsorting the trash is what I need to do.
Well, no, because we don't have x-ray vision. I can't actually see through the bag what
But is that
you
what the
have.
regulation requires of me?
I
If you
wouldn't
did
say
have
that's
X-ray
what
vision.
it requires each individual residence to do that.
Okay, how do I pass the fines on? How do I pass the fines on to them? Because they won't do it. Like I'm like as it is right now, I'm opening their bags to take recycling, to take cans out, because you fine me $50 every time they don't do that.
Okay, well, I don't think we have an answer to this right now. Right
But
now,
but,
make
but I
no
mean, it's
bones about it.
this enforcement's coming, and so I just want to know if the DSNY is thinking about it, because I like it's not fun to deal with taking out trash as it is, let alone unsorting other people's trash.
I agree with you. It's not fun, and I understand that this is a large responsibility that's on your shoulders, but the responsibility is on the property owner.
Oh, okay. So,
Okay.
but just to be clear, it's my job to unsort the trash.
Okay,
It would be.
William and Michael.
Okay, I hope you'll rethink that.
Okay.
I have a quick question. First of all, to Ethel's point about getting this information, I would think it's safe to assume for any members of the community that feel like their building is not following the law, to
Mhm.
call 301 and do a complaint about it, and
About
someone,
their own building.
correct, is that something that can be done if they just realize?
They could certainly do that
Okay, wonderful. And
if they want to.
If they want
Because it's against their own building, so, yeah, they should just do that with caution.
Okay, and my second question in regards to your leaf waste, how much responsibility is a leaf waste of apartment building complex? So I'm along Riverside, and
Mhm.
obviously fall is here. And so there's gonna be a lot of leaf waste that just happens to fall into streets, into the
Right.
sidewalk. How much responsibility is it of the building to actually pick that up and compost it, or just blow dry it and throw it off to the park? Like, I'm just curious. I mean, people will do what they need to do, but I kind of wonder is there anything written as far as like that responsibility? Or it's just kind of,
Yeah, that's a different responsibility, because that's just keeping your sidewalk and 18 inches into the curb clean.
Mhm.
So that's a little different. You just have to keep whatever's right in front of your house, your building clean, right? That has to be free of leaves and debris and garbage, as well as the 18 inches into the street. We don't really condone people just blowing it back across the street. We would prefer that you bag it up, and then you can put it in a clear plastic bag. You don't have to actually put it in the bin if there's no room for that, because I get that. That's what I do in my house. If we see the leaves, because I have a corner, so it's the whole side of the house too, bag it up and then put that out for compost.
Okay.
But that's just part of your regular responsibility as a property owner, to keep the sidewalk and 18 inches into the curb clean.
yeah,
But yes, there is more responsibility now to not just put it in a black garbage bag.
yeah.
Right, now, just you can get a big clear bag, that's totally fine, or if you have multiple compost bins, if you're able to, have more than one, depending on the size of the building, then yes, then you can just put all the leaves in there.
Cause yeah, I bring it up because one of my biggest concerns is just the sewer pipes getting clogged up.
Mhm.
Because on regular rainy days, the streets are flooded and people with needs can't even cross the street, or even like a
Right.
snowy day, they just, so I'm just curious to see how. If the leaf and the leaf waste gets collected, if we see an improvement in our streets during those times.
I'm hoping we do, because anyway, you should be removing those leaves anyway.
Michael?
Just a couple, hopefully just lighter questions here.
Get out of here.
No one wants to take responsibility.
We don't want Marissa to leave.
So the bags, clear bags for yard waste can be left out. Anything that's in the compost bin, does that also need to be in a clear bag, or can it be in a?
No, that's fine. Whatever's inside the compost bin, that's fine. Yeah, that's, as long as the bin is clearly labeled.
Yeah.
And the lid is closed, then I know it's all compost inside.
And then
Yeah.
also, does DSNY have any resources available either for individual tenants, and residents throughout the city, buildings, and that's a lot of people here, low-income residents to receive any bin on there, like, so they don't have to go out and buy another bin, essentially. Like, can I go, is there like a giveaway somewhere, or?
We were, on our website, you were able to sign up for a free bin, the smaller, I think everyone sees our little brown bins, you know what those look like. At the moment, I can't say they'll be here on time for October 6th, but you could certainly go online and
service is
request
still-
one. Yeah, we've had a very large influx of people asking for them, because it's 3 whole boroughs. So I just would give us a little time to give it to you.
To be clear, it's a free service that DSNY is offering.
Correct,
to
the bin would be
all
free.
city residents.
Yes.
But, large buildings, there's. Or. Okay,
No, if they ordered one from us, yeah.
they can also get like a large.
It's not, right, I mean, it's not 55 gallons, it's not huge, but it's a bin,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. Go ahead,
One
Ethel.
more following up on the bins.
Okay,
How does, do buildings have to buy bins, and where do they get them for this purpose? Many buildings, as I observed, don't have any bins like this, maybe individuals do. How do you get the acceptable bins for what the material that we are going to put in those bins in the course of a week and put it outside on the sidewalk?
you can buy any bin that you want,
It doesn't matter.
as
the
long as
shape,
it's not I don't care about the shape, as long as it's not bigger than 55 gallons, that's just standard for
And that would
DSNY.
be a designated bin
Correct,
for.
as long as it's labeled, as long as it clearly
And
says
that's
compost,
up
if you
to
can use that
the
decal, that's even better.
And that's what the labels.
Right, so that's up.
That
to
one's
the
less
building
than
to
55,
do
but,
this,
okay. You
and
could,
up to us and others to distribute this kind of
That's why we're here.
information. The last smaller thing, and please tell me if I'm the only one who experiences this on a weekly basis. I think not. Every Wednesday, in my neighborhood, on my block, the surrounding blocks as well, there is a group of people who either the night before or certainly on Wednesday begin to go to each building, open bags of garbage, which are there because the garbage is being put out because that's Wednesday's a big day for the trucks to come and collect. And one can see, often it's women who may not be speaking English or whatever, they know each other, they are diligent, they are the most incredible workers, and they open garbage bags from all the buildings, and I've watched it on my block, I've gone around, and with neatness, but with, I mean, hard work, they take out glass, bottles, everything like that, which they then put into their bags for recycling. And what they do with this, scores, blocks and blocks and blocks of this, they go to some dealer or somebody to whom they sell all these recycling bottles, and it is a source of significant, I can't say how much, but there's teams of people And they are then selling the recycling that they've worked like hell with, and it's every Wednesday. And the work is enormous. I hope I'm not the only one. It's a major activity.
What was the question?
So what's
I'm just saying about that this is.
Yeah, it's all over the city. They come in front of my house too.
Recyclables
So,
are occurring.
so the good news is a lot's being recycled. The bad news is, in order to do this, in order to make the money they need,
Exactly.
they're opening things up and not closing them up
Right,
again
so
necessarily.
good to use
But-
them.
But it's because they have a need.
Exactly.
At the same time, they're
Right.
doing a service to society. So
But it would be good to.
I'm trying to, it may not be what their motivation is, but the effect.
It's widespread.
The effect is I get fined $100 a week for them. There's some people in the lobby, by the way, waiting to ask questions, just FYI. They asked me to point out that they're stuck.
You mean the,
No, I think it means
The Zoom lobby.
what are their names?
I know Ann Korchak, she mentioned to me that she's there, and I believe there's some others. I don't know all their names, but
No, I don't see an Ann. I sent promotions to everyone that's still in there, but everyone that's left in there declined. But there's no one named Ann.
Okay,
May I ask,
Um,
why would you get a fine $100 for someone going through your trash, taking the cans and bottles out?
because while they're
Yeah.
taking the cans and bottles out, they happen to unsort all of my trash from other DSNY regulations. They leave the trash bins uncovered, or they just leave the bags entirely torn up on the curb. And then I get fined because my bags are not, things are unsorted in the bags, or the bags are not properly sealed, or the bins don't have lids on them. And all of those things are reasonable things for DSNY to want to enforce. And I work very hard to deal with it. But when somebody comes by at 2 a.m. and makes a mess, I'm not
Yeah,
awake
nice.
at 2 a.m. to deal with it.
okay.
So
Any
just to
other
answer your
questions?
question, but I'm done. I did my part, asked my questions. I'll go on mute again. I apologize.
But I think it's good to have your perspective because, it's the other side. So Louisa?
I just want to clarify something. Did I hear that it could be any bin as well, as long as it's labeled? What happened to the very specific brown bins that we were using before?
You can keep using those. We're just saying like, those are cool and like we love those bins because they're ours, but you don't have to use them if you don't want to or if you don't have them. Like, cause now it's open to everybody in Manhattan. If you already have a bin that you just want to relabel for compost or you feel like buying new bin, like, then that's fine. You can keep using the one that you have though. Don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We really need information
Elizabeth?
though.
Yes.
Okay, Elizabeth, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Please.
I live in a single family house and I live in a 2-block area of 37 single family houses. So in addition to the composting requirement, we are very concerned about these new requirements and all these bins. These houses, which are in a historic district between 104th and 105th Street on Manhattan Avenue, none of us have basements. The garden floor is living space, either for a tenant apartment or for our own living space. The width of the property is only 16 feet wide plus a few inches. There is simply, and I'm sure this is not unique to our little enclave of brownstones, that this affects many brownstone neighborhoods elsewhere in Community Board 7, on the Upper East Side, in West Harlem, in the Village. So I have discussed this with many of our neighbors. I'm not here speaking for them tonight. I'm speaking for myself. Our city council member happens to be Sean Abreu, chair of the sanitation committee. I have written him a long email about this and encouraged my neighbors to do this. But we are very, very concerned that 1-2 family small homes are being lumped in with apartment buildings. And we have many seniors on our block. I have no place to put these bins. Many of us have planted our tiny little patios We have windows there, which are necessary for ventilation. My kitchen is in my basement. That's how I go in and out. My husband rides his bicycle every day. People have strollers, shopping carts, all kinds of things. So I cannot understand why small single-family homes or two-family homes are being lumped in with multiple dwellings. So I just want to put that on the record for the Department of Sanitation to consider. It would take me and my husband 2 months to come up with enough compost to fill a bag. I do have a lot of yard waste. I have a garden. Plus, I take care of the leaves for my 92-year-old neighbor. He has a huge maple tree in his backyard. And multiple times a year, I prune his shrubs, I rake his leaves. But I'm kind of unique. I also prune all the tree pits on the block, and I generate a lot of yard waste that way. So I'm asking for some consideration to the unique situation of very small 1, 2, 3 family houses.
Okay. I feel like you also started talking about residential containerization. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's also gonna be
Absolutely.
great.
I don't even have space for 1 container, much less 3.
So that's a great
That
segue,
could be a good segue if it's gonna answer everybody's questions about compost.
as much as we're going to have this evening.
That's up to you. That's
Yes,
totally fine.
thank you.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to. Just passing around, so then we'll jump over to that. Residential containerization, I'm just gonna talk about it for a second, miss, and then hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your concerns, if possible. So starting November 12th, every single residential building with 1 to 9 units, so that may not apply to a lot of you here, but bear with me, 1 to 9 units must containerize their trash. Their trash has to be put in a bin no larger than 55 gallons with a lid, and that needs to be put curbside for collection. You can't just put a black garbage bag with your trash curbside for collection. So again, 1 to 9 units, November 12th, that will start. The enforcement for that will start in January. If you look at the flyer, for those that are on the screen, we'll hold it up for you. The official NYC bin does not go into effect until June 1st, 2026. So you do not need to yet buy my special bin. You don't need to buy that yet. You just need to use a bin. I can give you the prices for our bin, and it might end up being cheaper than if you were to go somewhere else. But just to keep that in mind, you don't need to buy my bin specifically. If you already have a bin, you can keep using that as long as there is a lid on there. So that is the overview. Thank you, Max. Just so everyone can see, that is the NYC official bin. You don't need to buy that one. If you have one that doesn't look like that, that's totally fine, as long as it's just not larger than 55 gallons. To go back to your original point about having all these different bins for all these different things and you don't have space for it. I totally understand that. I hear you out. I've heard that in a lot of other districts. I'm going to as many as I can in Manhattan, pretty much all of Brooklyn, talking about this. You do need to containerize your trash though. If you don't have space inside your home, you can leave it outside, no more than 3 feet away from your building line. I understand that might mean you would have to cover up a window or your garden access, but that is the reality. You do need to have a bin of some sort, and that would include your compost and then for your trash. I feel like there's probably a lot of thoughts and feelings, so I will stop talking and answer anybody's questions or concerns.
Michael,
What is the opposite of containerization? Does that just mean a bag on the street?
I'm sorry, what's the opposite?
Yeah,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yeah. I was like, what?
what is not containerization?
Yes, not containerization is just putting the black bag on curbside, so that way it's taken away and you don't have to bring a bin in. Right, yes, that would be the opposite. We don't want to do that for garbage anymore.
But for units, sorry, units of buildings with more than 9 units, they're still permitted to do so?
You're still permitted to do so, correct?
The rationale,
For containerization?
no, for making people in smaller buildings do something that large buildings don't have the obligation to do.
Larger buildings just don't have to do it yet. They will have to do it starting in 2025, so I guess I'll be back. But yeah, we're just starting with the smaller units first, because you have more control over that. A single two-family house in Brooklyn or wherever, a brownstone in the Upper West Side, doesn't matter. You have more control over what's happening in your home as opposed to bringing all building management owners together to make them do something. And it's less garbage. A 60-unit building, is gonna have way more garbage than a two-family.
Couple hands online. Can we get
Are you sure?
Seema and then Louisa.
Thank you. I am one of Elizabeth's neighbors and I share her concerns. We just have no space for all of these bins. Before I get into that though, I have two questions. First, so if, first, does recyclables, does that need to also be containerized?
No,
Okay, so, and that, there's no plan for that, so that can be unbinned, so to speak.
yeah, there should be no food in that. That's kind of one of the rationale. So,
Right.
no, recyclables, those two waste streams, keep using clear plastic bags. That's fine.
Okay, and then the next question is, so instead of doing the 55-gallon bin that you just showed a picture of, could we do a smaller, like whatever is the smallest
Yes,
size bin? And is that okay also going forward to I forgot the date you mentioned, 2026, whenever we're supposed to get the New York City bin?
so yeah, I'm sorry. I think maybe I talk really fast. 55 gallons, you can't go bigger than that. You can go as small as you want. I don't know if they sell that, but I don't mind. I don't care. I'm not gonna get mad at you. You just can't go bigger than 55 gallons. The ones we sell online in the picture that you all see, that's not even 55 gallons. The largest one is 45 gallons. We have a 35-gallon model and the 45-gallon model. So there isn't even a 55-gallon. I just don't want you to go bigger than that. We can't lift that up.
Okay, but if
Which
I
is
did
really
like,
hard.
if I did like some random like 20-gallon from Home Depot, is that okay?
Yes, do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Which as
just put a
long
lid
as
on
it has a lid, that's all you
I just
want.
need a lid. Just put a lid on it, and that's all I care about.
Okay, okay.
That's forever or just for the next year?
I guess that would be until June 1st, 2026, because the only two sizes I have in the NYC official bin is 35-gallon and 45-gallon.
Okay, will you be offering smaller bins in the future from NYC bin?
That's a small possibility. I actually don't know. That I've not been told.
Okay, is there
Solid-
some way we could
solid
follow up
point.
on that? Because for smaller buildings like the ones the folks are mentioning here, they're probably not generating 35 gallons of trash a week, let alone a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. I mean, as this, since we are sort of the first edge of this program, is there some thought to seeing how this goes and perhaps customizing some kind of solution for us small buildings?
Yeah, I mean, once we start, I'll be able to see how's it going. So
Okay,
yeah, once we see how's it going, by January, give us a little time. We'll see how it's working, what I hear from the community. I'm happy to make my information available to everybody. Any concerns or complaints, whatever you want to call it, whatever you have for me, just tell me and then I'll bring that back to senior staff.
okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, William?
So essentially you can have more than one composting bin if it's a
Yeah.
big apartment complex.
If you want, yeah.
Or it could be as small as like a little trash can over here, as long as it has a lid
Yeah, and it's labeled.
and it's labeled.
It's gotta be
Okay,
labeled.
fair enough. Cool.
Yeah.
The compliant bin starting in June 26th, is that only specific to trash or will that include trash recycling?
That's only for trash. Yeah, if you go on the website, we sell one for trash. Okay, we sell those, but the rule is for your trash.
Yeah.
We just happen to also sell other bins.
The reason I'm asking is
It's fine.
if folks are going out and investing in compost bins right now, I just want to make sure they're not investing in one style bin and then 2 years later I have to buy a second.
No,
bin. This is specific to trash.
I'm just talking trash. Yeah, I'm always just talking trash.
Hey, Lon.
Sorry, I have lots of opinions here, so I apologize for the questions. This impacts me greatly as a building owner. I know this sounds ridiculous for bins that cost $50, but is there any assistance for rent stabilized or rent regulated properties for covering these costs? In my case, for example, covering to purchase the trash bins I'll need for my 4-unit building, at least for 1 month, that's going to account to about 20% of my rental income.
At the moment, no, I have not been told of any
Okay.
discount or anything that I've been, that at the moment, that's not in my talking points. I haven't
Understood.
been
Okay,
told.
so it's another unfunded mandate from the city. I appreciate just the confirmation. It's fine. I lose hundreds of $1,000s a year subsidizing other people's rent. I can lose another couple $100s this month. The other is there's a number of buildings in my neighborhood where there is no street level space. You're literally gonna have to carry these bins upstairs in order to get them to the street level. So I just wanted to reiterate what was said earlier. Like, we really need you to think about how we can get smaller bins or more accessible bins for these 1 to 9 unit homes. I understand why for a very large building you need a very large bin, but if you're talking about a 1, 2, 3, even 4 unit building, when our landmarked buildings were built in 1890 or 1900 or wherever they were, because we're all in these historic districts, they didn't take into account your new trash policies. And to be clear, I support containerization. I want you all to do this because I don't like rats. That's my other pet peeve here in the city. But we have to we need you to take that into account, because Landmarks isn't going to let me change the front of one of these buildings to be to have space for the trash bins. Like, they don't care about trash regulations. They care about the building looking like it did in the 1800s or early 1900s. So I don't know. I guess that's more of a request. Could you please follow up on that with priority and get back to the community on what we should do there for those with those accessibility or storage issues, where a smaller bin would be helpful for 2026. And then the second request was, can you please work with Landmarks to make sure that they do approve changes to the frontage of buildings where you do need space for bins?
Well, okay, I can't promise the Landmarks one.
I mean, you can write them an
okay.
email. It doesn't cost you anything to write them an email.
Okay.
Point out that this is an issue.
Those old landmark buildings are has-beens.
Stop it.
I would love for them to be has-beens. If I could change my building and make it a modern building, I would, but I'm not allowed to. I'd also add units, but that's a different conversation. That's housing, not sanitation.
Good.
Just a question, a clarifying question. You're saying that the lack of space outside of the buildings. I just don't understand what you mean by that.
Basement, they don't.
So like there are people that store their trash in basements. There are people that don't have, Elizabeth and some others folks mentioned that they've built out the very limited front yard space you have on a brownstone, and there's just not physical location for these to be in. My neighbor's building, you have to walk down a flight of stairs to get to the place where they store the trash bins. It's not impossible to bring a bag up a couple steps to get where you're going, but when you're talking about a 45-gallon trash bin that may be full.
And you're saying you're not permitted to have bins on the curb within 3 feet of the building. I just don't know this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not permitted. It's just in my case, it's 2 steps. It's going to be a pain, but I'll do it. In the cases of my neighbors, it's much more. I'm a young able person. I have neighbors that are elderly who are not. They have to go up further steps to bring their trash bins up the stairs. When you're talking about a 35 or 45-gallon bin that's full, those are very heavy. So from an accessibility perspective, it's not great.
Isn't there an opportunity to just leave it on the curbside permanently? Or you're saying that's not?
I don't believe. I mean, I don't believe that would be legal, because I think that's going to block pedestrian traffic. And then if it's not DSNY finding us, it'll be DOT or some other agency. And unfortunately, I'm already full up on fines. I don't have budget for more fines.
No, I was just trying to understand that.
So that's,
What would you build that you think Landmarks would not approve?
I would have to. I mean, I don't know that I would personally do this, but for my trash, but for my neighbors, they would probably want to either add a ramp or tear down the fence in front of their building that's there, where they have gardens or whatever it might be, in order to put trash cans. To be clear, I don't think anybody wants to do this, but between schlepping a large 45-gallon bin up a flight of stairs and not schlepping a 45-gallon bin up a flight of stairs, I would imagine a person who's not physically able would choose the latter.
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Please do.
I would say that I am one of those people that would like to build some kind of enclosure or something. I find that even without bins on next to my house, there's constant dumping going on. People just throwing litter here and there. And then if you have actually these bins out, they just become a magnet for even more trash and just people, throwing stuff in. And so even though this is meant to clean up our our sidewalks, and I do applaud that. I do applaud how many fewer rats we have than we had during COVID. It's just a real problem. It's just an everyday nuisance that is very hard to keep on track of, on top of.
Thank you. And so, and Yvonne mentioned fines, and so,
Well, did I answer all the questions about residential containerization?
yes, you did.
Did a great job.
And
Thank you.
great discussion
Thanks.
with people with different perspectives and situations. It's been very enriching,
Okay,
like
so,
the compost.
yeah. So this last part is probably doesn't apply to most of you, but I have to mention it as well. So if you are a business owner, and you receive a fine, and you've received more than one fine, the amount of your fine is going to increase, and this starts in December. So currently the rule is if you have your first offense, it's $50, then your second offense is $100, and then every offense after that's gonna be $100. Now it's gonna be your first offense is 50, your second is 300, your third is 500, and then 4, 5, 6 will continue to be $500. So I don't know if anyone here is a business owner or anyone on the call, but your fines are gonna go up if you make a mistake, and this really applies to dirty sidewalk and sidewalk obstruction rules and summonses. This wouldn't apply to like not having a private carding sticker, for instance, right? That's not gonna apply to this, but if you're not cleaning out front of your storefronts and you keep doing that and keep doing that, we keep coming around, the fine is going to increase drastically.
And this is to all types of storefronts, even retail establishments, so like.
Right, all business owners,
All
any
business
business.
owners,
correct.
so say, people who work at Dwayne Reed, they have a break room, that team who works in that building has to compost as well,
Oh,
right? So like, say, right, so
that's something different.
how is it different?
That's different
'Cause
than
they
what,
have-
because
they
this
have-
is just sidewalk obstruction and cleanliness.
I'm just curious as to,
So now we're talking, okay, so now you wanna talk about organics for businesses.
no, let's say I work at a local business, CVS, Walgreens, whatever, I eat my lunch,
Okay,
what do I do?
you think you put it in the trash.
So there's no composting there.
The New York City organics law for businesses only applies to businesses that produce food.
Okay.
CVS doesn't produce
I should eat
food.
my lunch at work then.
I guess
Ooh,
not.
I'm kidding.
Um,
No, but I'm just curious,
Yes.
cause like, I bring food to work,
yeah,
and, or I'll buy a sandwich from Subways and that's paper. And
Right.
so I wonder at work, what do I do? Do I just toss it in a
You can
trash?
also bring it home.
I mean, do
And do
your
I bring it
best.
home and then compost it?
We all try, I mean, like in my office, we have the 3-way streams and we have a compost container in the freezer. So just do your best as best you can, but that is a completely, that's a very different
Different
rule
thing, okay.
than what I was saying. But yes, that is
Okay, I was
rules
just
that do
thinking about
exist.
that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you wouldn't, your fine for that would not increase though. So that luckily that
No, I
will,
just meant as an employee, I'm not in charge of the building.
no, I know, I got you.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Or nobody here owns a business? Just kind of lucky, maybe?
And just to be clear, none of that's true for residential, so I just continue to pay my normal $100, $200, like one or $200 a week fines for when people mess up my trash.
Right, so the fines I was talking about were just for business owners,
That's
not
fine.
talking about residential fines at the moment.
Okay, got it. I mean, I just don't have more than
No.
$200 a week to spend on this, so like it's already a problem.
Okay, if you would like, please feel free to ask Max or Alex or Jesse. And maybe I can give you my contact information offline. And then maybe I can help you with any of these other issues that you're having. Or maybe I can have like a supervisor come by, maybe we can chat with you for a bit. Just to kind of help.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for you to come police the vagrants that run through the trash, but I know that there's higher priorities for the city.
Okay.
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 Onward.
So,
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I was just saying just that this also includes snow, keeping the sidewalks clear of snow.
I think so, because that would be a sidewalk obstruction. Ooh.
Also, often a problem.
That's the one thing
Go there
that-
and ask me why they couldn't clean the sidewalk, they say.
What in-
"Then
Mhm.
it's-
He said general cleanliness and sidewalk obstruction. I don't know for sure, but I will ask. I hope so, because I hate when people don't shovel their snow. It drives me up the wall. That's my biggest pet
okay,
peeve.
last comment.
So it's a question on the composting for businesses that produce food. So just
Okay.
in the context, I work at Museum of Natural History where there are facilities on site that do produce food.
Correct.
So what is the responsibility of that organization?
You
They
should be
also-
composting.
They should be three
They
separate.
should be separating, yeah.
And that, again, starting October 6th.
No, businesses should have always been doing that.
I have one. A quick one. Houses of worship, not-for-profit buildings, etc.
For compost or containerization?
For anything.
Can you give me a second?
Sure,
I
okay,
forgot the answer to this one.
it's okay.
Give me 1 second. It's 6 pages because
I
nothing
get
is
it.
easy.
I think there are responsibilities around, I think.
Tax exempt
Houses
organization.
of worship are different from the general category of not-for-profits.
No, they were, when I read it, it was grouped.
I know, I think you're looking at the current news items with about,
Could be,
yes, it's very specific.
okay.
So it may
Okay, we could follow up on it.
No, that one, if we collect your garbage,
Mhm,
you gotta follow our rules.
mhm.
So if I'm collecting the garbage from the house of worship,
Mhm.
you gotta put it in a container.
Okay,
Yes,
and so that would apply to not-for-profit organizations too, I assume?
correct. If they're
Anybody?
receiving DSNY collection service and it's on a residential route, which it would be, you gotta follow the residential rules,
Okay,
which would be containerization starting November 12th.
got it. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So if I get a private party company to get my garbage, can I flout all of those?
For your home?
Fine.
That is a bit of a gray area, cause technically the rule already is in place for all businesses to containerize their trash. But you're not a business, you're just using a private carder.
Right.
I am not going to officially say in a meeting being recorded that yes, you could flout the rules by using, and nobody edited, so it does seem like I'm saying that. But
It's a loophole.
that is quite a gray area that you brought up today. And you know what? God bless if you did. No, but it's funny.
Okay, I'm gonna let Ken have the last word.
I just, general question, these, clear plastic bags that recycling goes in. What happens to them? There's an awful lot of them.
Like when we get them?
Yeah,
Oh, we open them up?
Yeah.
Oh,
but do they get recycled or do they go to the landfill?
no, plastic bags, they're non-recyclable. They go into a landfill.
They go to-
We bring it over
Plastic
to,
itself,
I'm sorry?
The cans and the bottles.
Oh, no, the cans and bottles get recycled.
No,
I'm
right.
sorry. The bag that it came in,
Right.
that would not be recycled. That gets torn open. Like when we bring it to Sims Recycling and then they put it down a chute and then they separate everything, but the plastic bag itself would go in the garbage.
Okay, we'd like to thank Marissa, Yanni for a most informative
Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thanks for having me
leading
today.
to really a rich discussion that covered so many different aspects of this, and we still have a lot to learn. But now we know a lot more than, I think, 98% of the people who
I
are
hope
living
so.
around us.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions, please, Max has my number, Sheldon now has my number as well.
Mhm.
Feel free to email or like send more
Send
questions.
them to me and.
I'm sorry, yeah, send it
Or
to
send
Max.
them directly to Marissa.
Whatever works. Please let me know because I am at your disposal. I'm the Manhattan liaison, so anything you need
Wow.
is my wish to grant. I don't know.
Perfect.
It's what I'll do for you. So please let me know how else I can be helpful because I do want to help CB7.
I just wanted to say it's also a seasonal educational opportunity. When they have street fairs and the warmer weather, that's perfect.
It would be.
But now we're heading toward the. cooling
Can I
out.
just grab you for one more question?
Oh, Ira? Come on.
Yeah, my background has snow on it, and so my question is about snow.
I
Okay,
love snow. I wish it would snow more.
so well, this used to be the sledding hill at around Hippo Playground until Parks Department took care of that a year ago. My kids
Oh.
loved it. Now they don't, it's too big anyway. But the question is this, is how does this work when the sidewalks are full of snow and you can't wheel the containers to the curb? And the reason is the sanitation department also doesn't permit snow to be put into the street. So how does that work?
Okay,
If you are the property owner, it is your responsibility to shovel the snow in front of your property, making sure that there is a 3 feet wide pathway for people to cross. As well,
Okay.
you're gonna need to make a spot for your bin. So you're just gonna have to shovel a little bit more.
Nope.
And then you have
Okay.
to put the snow either to the side up against your property line, or I have a tree pit in front of my house, so I kind of put it inside the tree pit.
Okay, well,
The snow.
you know, I just want to tell you here, 3-foot sidewalks might work really well in Douglaston, but they don't work very well on the Upper West Side. So the snow has to go somewhere, and the place everybody puts it is next to the curb. Except the park, we leave it in the park.
That's understood. I'll make sure, I'll come by when it's.
And by the
snows,
way,
and I'll
they're
see if I can
also,
help.
they're cars anyway, so you have to lift it over the snowbank and over the cars and alternate side
Snowbank?
gets.
How much is it gonna snow this year?
It will
I'm
snow
sorry, that's
someday
very
again.
generous.
I've got
It
3
will.
pairs of
I
cross-country
empathize.
skis. It's got to snow again.
You are correct. I will say a lot of the rules that we have is also up to the discretion of the commissioner. So if she
Okay.
feels that it is a really big snowstorm, I'm sure she will make a call about where you can put your
She'll-
bins. So I
she'll
think we'll just have to wait and see for that one.
Okay.
She'll suspend snow plowing too. I
We
think
would
that's
never
within her.
suspend snow.
Please.
Okay.
So,
I always
Thank-
hope for snow. We get more.
Again,
overtime.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful evening. Thank you for letting me come.
Okay, okay, take a deep breath because part 2, public bathrooms
oh, no.
and our,
Thank you, Marissa.
take care, and our, Madge, Rosenberg and Paula Spain have been going to meetings on behalf of the board to bring back information, and we have something substantial to present. Madge, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Do you want that PowerPoint presentation up now, or?
You want to start with it? The four
share
slides?
Screen of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
We've been meeting a public bathroom working group from several community boards, and most of the community boards have written resolutions or written letters supporting public bathrooms. Now we have one for every 6,000 to 8,000 people. One bathroom, one toilet. They will they're aiming for 2,000, one for every 2,000. And this bill would be a long-term planning process. It has been a process that's been talked about forever and ever. And they even have established 1 or 2 bathrooms over the years, but not more than that. I mean, very few with all the talk. So this bill would require long-term planning. I'll just read this because I don't see this up there.
Which,
Permanent long-term strategic
Which
planning
thing are you looking
process
for? I could put it up.
led by Chief of Public Realm Officer, Department of City Planning, and the Mayor's Office of
Resolution.
Operations. The establishment and maintenance of a citywide public bathroom network would be required to work with relevant city agencies to produce a strategic plan report to be updated every 4 years with the goal of providing 1 toilet per 2,000 residents by 2035 and thereafter. The strategic plan would propose a capital strategy, recommend law or policy changes to support bathroom operations or conversions, and identify various types of sites that can be converted to public bathroom use. The bill would also require the documents to designate at least 1 design model for a modular bathroom facility as compliant with applicable city requirements, and to publish a comprehensive map of all public bathrooms in the city. Now, there are already apps, I know, that do this, so, but this is the way that it's presented to city council. What we'd like to do is have a letter in support. Gail is very much in favor of this. She's one of the sponsors, she's spoken, but we want to bring Shauna Bruin because they're short a few sponsors and everyone helps. Everyone that does it helps. So then we wrote a letter. Letter's very short. Dear Speaker, Adams Council members, Brewer. Community Board 7 recognizes the urgent need for clean, safe, accessible bathrooms, which are now in short supply in New York City. We support a coordinated planning process to identify suitable spaces, to open or convert them to public bathroom use, and to publish their locations. We need incentives for providing public bathrooms and POPs, which are big publicly owned, privately owned public spaces. Signage to identify existing bathrooms would help immediately and with the minimal cost. So that's the intro that we'd like to support, and to add the part about the signage, because in our district, we have several public bathrooms, but nobody knows they're there.
Mhm.
There are no signs, so if there were just a uniform sign, some simple symbol that says bathroom,
Mhm.
and it could be posted. So we're asking for that letter.
Okay, so,
So years ago, in New York, they did try, some public bathrooms. And, it was a great idea and they looked nice for the first week. And then, they weren't well attended. They were not kept clean. They became pretty filthy. And unfortunately, homeless people who had no place to stay slept in. And then the bathrooms were taken away. So a plan to put the bathroom in place is great, but is there part of the plan about how to maintain them so the general population has access to them?
Well, they've become more modern, so that now they're self-cleaning. They have bathrooms that are self-cleaning. They have bathrooms where the doors, I mean, you can't lock a door and sleep there overnight. It has a time limit.
And
on
like,
it.
and like the opacity of the walls will change.
Yeah,
Depending
the
on. like,
lights will
their
go
use.
on and off. They have
And then
to-
if somebody is in there, nobody will have the ability or nerve to tell them to please leave. I want them to work. I think public bathrooms are great. But we have had the experience, it's not that long ago.
But there are also places where, like, you want the law now, if you're gonna put in a privately owned public space, it should contain a bathroom. And it should be made known that it has a bathroom. So that's a big part of it. It's not only building bathrooms, because I agree with you, I've been to many of those just to look at them.
Yeah.
And, you know, the lock is broken, the door, something's
It's like the
wrong.
elevators and stuff.
Yeah.
and then,
Has there been any talks of, so I attended one of the few meetings very early on, a few years ago. But has there been any talks on any public bathroom that you pay to enter and some that are non-paid?
I have not heard that.
Cause I wonder if paid would be better. I remember when I went to Italy, I had to use the restroom and I gave them €1.
Right.
And it was wonderfully clean, it was nice, it was neat. And then the other time, I wasn't also near Bellagio, I had to pay, and it was one of those self-cleaning ones too. And I wonder if just one that you paid for are just better maintained than free ones? My other question is this in development of a 24-hour bathroom system? Because as of right now, if I need to go anywhere, I know public library is a place to go. But will these be 24 hours essentially?
I don't know.
Hmm,
good
Okay.
question.
okay.
Ethel? And then Ken,
I have a memory of, in the recent past, of the French company Daco
Yeah.
engaged in a rather big program, publicity, and so on. And especially, I guess it was in Midtown and around places where there were stores and bigger buildings and so on, to install public bathrooms. I can't tell you what the deal was, how they made their money, but I remember it was not that long ago, and it was over a period of years of a major enterprise of this great Daco company. And I thought, why has it stopped? Because it was successful in a part of Manhattan and then ended. I think that unless things have changed, they were eager to spread it in New York.
Yeah,
and in So
I can
maybe
answer
somebody-
that.
Yes,
They ended up staffing them. That was what the problem.
sorry, they ended up what?
They ended up staffing each bathroom, which made it impractical. And they were also very expensive to build.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
familiar with that.
Yes, well, it should
Ken, please.
Yeah, Madge, I was just wondering, does this bill mandate that by 2035, it has to be one for every 2,000 people?
I think they're aiming, I don't think the man,
So,
I could be wrong.
so there's no teeth in this.
I have to be,
Yeah.
but I would like to support it as a beginning.
So it's aspirational.
Aspirational, yeah.
Well, but,
Or no,
excuse me, but
What?
did you say,
Starts.
Yeah.
sorry, did you say that Gail Brewer and Councilmember Abreu intend to
No.
introduce this? Are they
Gail,
doing
it's
this now?
already been introduced, and Gail is one of the sponsors. I sent.
Yeah, she is. Mhm.
In fact, Max, you have, there was a.
Yeah,
recording of her.
Let's
I
find
know,
out
I'm
what
looking
they're
for it
doing
now.
other than
Well,
just
this is,
waving a flag,
this is the bill.
what they do.
This is the bill that's being sponsored by Gang it's a serious issue and becoming a greater issue
Yes.
in this city. And people are in terrible situation where they can't find a public bathroom. And then when they choose to do things otherwise, they're putting themselves in jeopardy.
Right.
And very often it's the poorer people and people who have less resources that are the victims of this. So that I think this is a good start. Okay, and I'm sure as it develops, that the issues will come to bear of how we're going, how it's going to work. What I would suggest, maybe we could add to this, is that some pilot programs should be instituted with a few alternative ways to see how they work
Yes.
and see, what is effective.
I
Rather
actually
than-
have the video.
Sorry.
Did Madge sent me this, but did you want me to play this video?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's see. Sound.
It's like it's.
Yeah, let me try this. That's one other thing. That's not gonna work. That's gonna echo. Sorry about that. Might not be able to play it, then the tech capabilities might be a little limited. Sorry about that.
They're asking for a plan.
Mhm.
So as you
Yeah.
said,
Right. Plan for one.
a plan for a plan.
A plan for a plan.
So Madge, knowing that Gail Brewer is supporting it, and of course, she's got a lot on her plate. So can we set up from this group or whatever, going to Gail, which you can, and develop a strategy with her to do some of what you are advocating, because what
You
you're
mean to be active?
describing, which I appreciate, because they got a lot on the place, that she's saying a good thing and she's on the side of the angels.
Right.
But that's good for, the next week. And then it will be forgotten
Okay.
or whatever. So I would suggest, I'm not sure, Madge, because with your good work, but when you say we, are there other people with you who
There are a lot
have?
of different community boards who've written letters of support.
Yes.
Okay, so good.
I think we should write a letter of support.
It certainly won't hurt. And
And-
one thing that I would love to see, because it's so simple, is to put some kind of signage out. And that, this bathroom group, the working group is also very much in favor of that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
so.
everyone
some
understands
steps.
what this is about, and it's to develop the plan. Because the desired result is what we're looking for. We don't know exactly how to do it yet.
If we knew. it would have
May
been
I
done a
ask,
long
is
time
the
ago.
bathroom group, as you mentioned,
The bathroom.
composed of individuals from different places in Manhattan?
Yeah,
There are
different-
Community boards all over Manhattan.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
So-
there's an architect from, I think she's from Board 5. who's
Question
sort
about
of
the letter.
carrying
Should we have a
it going.
position?
So we gotta get
Very
that, we
good.
are interested in get another meeting to,
When committees.
To get
To
to
implement this.
or ask for it.
yeah, yeah.
I just want to bring up that when we did the public toilets for Annabelle Avalos Park, which I think some of us are very, very familiar with,
In which park?
Parks was not willing to do it without having park staff available in the park. And the other problem was because we had to make them accessible under ADA, we were not able to put a sufficient number in that you might see in older parks. So this is another issue that we dealt with. And that goes back to the when Ethel mentioned the DeKalb program. That was actually stopped in court because it didn't comply with the accessibility regulations. And so they were made larger, and it created other problems in that people could conduct businesses in them for brief periods. So it's a complex thing, and I can put everybody in touch with somebody who used to be at Parks who worked long and hard on that program.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I'll be in touch with them.
So we can go further, but right now we're gonna authorize a letter to be written in support of the intro. What's the number?
0694.
Okay, and maybe we should recommend things like pilot programs to be established as a part of the plan. Is that okay with people?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just, committee members, all in favor of the letter? Okay, and non-committee board member also. Okay. Very good.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-0 committee, 2-0 board member non-committee.
You want us to suggest the pilot programs?
We know that there should be pilot programs, explore a few variety of pilot programs of a few different models.
There are already.
Right, but that they should be looked at and determine what's appropriate. It may be that in one place, one is more appropriate, in another place, another is appropriate, but we don't, these are the unknowns. The unknowns. It could end up that we need an attendant for everyone, but maybe not. Maybe technology could be good. Maybe we should go on AI and ask AI what would be the best.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the public toilets in the Times Square station. There's a long row of them. One of them is accessible. There is an attendant, and it's paid for by the building's overhead.
Okay, so there are a variety, but a variety of models. I think we should be looking for a variety of models for the variety of situations.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, that's great.
Does staff to go to full board?
No, we
the
don't.
regular
We
plan.
have power. The committee has power.
Okay.
Yes, because we're looking out for the health and human services of our community.
Is there another agenda item now?
No, that is.
New and old business, unless anybody has
Okay.
anything.
I just want one question. You're talking about pilot programs citywide, not in our district. Or do you think that would be worthwhile in our district?
Oh, definitely, maybe
Yes.
finding a couple of spots and seeing what might work. And since Gail is a proponent, we might be interested in piloting the pilot.
Okay, so does that have to go into this letter or is that separate?
I think it just be an added line, yeah. Mhm. Okay. Everybody good?
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
Sorry, quick question. There was an ask that we follow up with somebody named Matt as well as with the DSNY liaison, but I couldn't find where their contact information is shared. I know we
just
all want to
go
go
to our-
tonight, but
Yes, go to our the CP7 website and there'll be an email address there. Send it to there and it'll work its way right to me.
Okay, sent. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, everyone have a good, we'll see you next week.